Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to visually unpack the absolutely gorgeous Pahari school of miniature painting. It's this incredible tradition where tiny, intricate brushstrokes basically serve as vibrant windows into towering mountains, divine romance, and just absolute pure devotion. Let's get right into it.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're taking a macro to micro journey, looking at, first, the origins of Pahari art, second, the 6 major sub-schools, third, the hallmarks of the style, and finally, we'll look closely at some actual masterpieces of Pahari art.
All right, Part 1, Origins of Pahari Art, the Himalayan Canvas.
Now this whole Pahari style really flourished up in the lush foothills of the Himalayas. Think modern-day places like Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, and Uttarakhand. And this happened roughly from the 16th straight through to the 19th century. But the real catalyst here? It's actually pretty fascinating. The style got a massive, and I mean literally a massive evolutionary boost when these highly skilled Mughal artists basically packed up, left the imperial courts, and sought new patronage in these smaller Hindu kingdoms up in the hills. They brought all their highly refined techniques with them, but, and here's the cool part, they started applying them to local landscapes and Hindu religious themes. It was the ultimate artistic mashup, creating something entirely new and beautiful.
Moving on to Part 2, the 6 major sub-schools, a tale of 2 styles.
So as this art spread like wildfire across the 30-odd kingdoms scattered throughout the region, it naturally evolved. It split into these major sub-schools that generally fall into 2 main stylistic camps. On one hand, you've got the Basohli and Kulu style. This one is all about perfect, bold geometrical patterns and striking, vivid colors that just pop right out at you. In contrast, you have the Guler and Kangra style, which came around a little bit later. This style is much more delicate. It leans on cooler, soothing blues and greens, and it's really famous for its incredible lyrical grace and poetic sensitivity. It's a totally different vibe.
And from those 2 broad branches, we eventually get 6 specific centers of Pahari art. Each of these added their own unique local flavor. For instance, if you look at the Gardwal school, you'll immediately see a close resemblance to Kangra, but they really emphasize these beautiful, soft, oval-faced portraits. Or alternatively, if you head down to Kulu Mandi, the artists there leaned into a much more distinct kind of folkish character. They heavily used dark, intense blacks, reds, and blues, specifically to emphasize the dreadfulness and the mystery of local goddesses. It is honestly amazing to see how the local environment literally shaped their brushstrokes.
Okay, let's talk about the number 40,000. 40,000! It tells an absolutely incredible story of devotion. To even begin to understand the massive scale of production behind this art, you have to look at the Kangra school under Maharaja Sansar Chand Katoch. Between 1765 and 1823, this ruler was such an ardent, hardcore devotee of Krishna that he commissioned over 40,000 Kangra miniature paintings. Think about that sheer volume for a second. He would actually even pay his artists with literal pieces of land just to get them to paint scenes from Krishna's life. Now that is dedication.
Which brings us to Part 3, Hallmarks of the Style, the Visual Vocabulary.
Now, with such a massive, prolific output, a distinct visual language was absolutely bound to solidify, right? If you really examine these works, you're going to consistently spot 4 main elements. First up is linear beauty. The artists used incredibly fine, smooth lines to create this beautiful rhythm. You'll see it especially in the highly stylized way they drew the eyes. Second, brilliant colors. They absolutely loved strong contrasting hues, and they definitely didn't hold back on lavishly applying real gold and silver for garments and ornaments. Third, nature is literally everywhere. We're not just looking at figures floating in a void here. There are intensely detailed, lush depictions of trees, blooming lotus rivers, and big mountain clouds. And finally, deeply romantic themes. But, and this is absolutely crucial to remember, when you see these romantic scenes of Krishna and Radha, it's actually a profound spiritual metaphor. Krishna symbolizes the divine God, and Radha, she represents the devoted human soul just yearning for that divine connection.
All right, let's get to the really fun part. Section 4, Masterpieces of Pahari Art, a closer look.
So, armed with our new visual vocabulary, let's kind of step into the gallery together. Here we have a prime example of that older, bolder Basohli sub-school we talked about. This tempera piece was painted by the master artist Manaku way back in 1730, and it's titled Krishna with Gopis. It perfectly depicts a beautiful, really vibrant scene inspired by the Gita Govinda series, showing Krishna completely surrounded by adoring gopis singing and dancing right there on the banks of the river Yamuna.
Let's look a little bit closer at this one. It brilliantly illustrates those classic Basohli hallmarks. Just look at that incredibly bold, lustrous, almost enamel-like orange and red background. It's a very flat, highly geometric composition. And notice the eyes, those large, bulging, lotus-shaped eyes on all the figures, sharing that one continuous flowing line from the forehead straight down to the nose. Then, right in the center, totally drawing your eye, is Krishna himself. He's adorned in jewels, rocking a peacock crown, and wearing his signature bright yellow garment, known as a pitambar. I mean, it's just striking, it's powerful, and it is absolutely bursting with vitality.
Now let's fast forward just over 50 years to see how this style evolved. This second masterpiece was painted between 1785 and 1790 by Nainsukh. And get this, Nainsukh was actually the younger brother of Manaku. Talk about a talented family, right? This is a super-renowned Kangra-style painting titled Nand, Yashoda, and Krishna with kinsmen going to Vrindavan, and it depicts an episode straight from the Bhagavata Purana. If you compare this to his brother's work, you immediately see the artistic evolution into the Kangra style. That flat, bright orange void, it's completely gone. In its place, we have this incredibly delicate, highly naturalistic scenery. We're seeing winding creepers on trees, a lush riverbank, and these soft clouds filling up the sky. Plus, there are 13 highly detailed human figures in these dynamic poses, all wearing varied, really vivid clothing. Right there in the center, you have Krishna, depicted in blue with a golden crown, raising his right hand to signal towards their destination. And if you look really, really closely in the background, just peeping beautifully through those clouds, are the golden buildings of Vrindavan itself. Compared to the first piece, it just has this completely different lyrical grace and spatial depth to it.
From the bold geometric energy of Basohli all the way to the sweeping poetic naturalism of Kangra, the artists of these hill kingdoms truly mastered the art of visual storytelling. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought to just kind of ponder on. How do such tiny, highly structured miniature canvases, I mean, we're talking often no larger than a standard piece of paper, how do they manage to perfectly capture both the towering, vast natural beauty of the Himalayas and the infinite, boundless depths of human spiritual devotion? It's pretty incredible to think about. Thanks so much for exploring the Pahari School with me today. Keep looking closely.